streaming into your mind like a ray of cosmic revelation, smashing through the mainstream like a comet of prophecy. You're listening to Planet Vrilock, your podcast for everything super, psionics, and magic tech. Lords and ladies, welcome to my show. The greatest water port closes. Ships pile behind the blockage. And AP can't buy or lease ships. So they're repairing old vessels. Brazil faces unprecedented weather and a drought. Coffee prices set to spike. Nestle's trajectory of returning to normal after the post-COVID world is approximately 3 years from now. And one would think that the checks would come rolling in, catching for old Herr Doktor von Vrilock to be summoned to tackle a project to save the world from an upcoming and unprecedented food shortage as shipping comes to a near grinding halt. But no, the globalists have decided to set anchor, and they like it here in choppy water. So tonight I'm going to share with you an exit window, a portal if you will, out of this matrix and into a more prosperous future. And hopefully we'll all be a little richer in the process. We're talking about Psionics for the DeFi coin, DeFi crypto portal. And we'll be talking about Psionics for Defixios as well. Yes, rock the Katadesmos. Rock the Katadesmos. So, without further ado, let us begin. Yes, the vibration of war on the edge sprays more than saltwater mist into the air around the East Pacific. Battleships, frigates, U-boats, nuclear-capable jet fighters, and autonomous weapons encircling the ring of fire. But should we be so concerned ourselves with this show of muscle, iron, and AI? Yes, well, the old industrial complex is on its way out. So, of course, they'll strut around like peacocks, whooping we'll all be watching in awe. But for the record here, I do believe we are headed toward an exit from the old system of oil and blood. Not fast enough, perhaps, but all things worthwhile take time in the doing. So for us, it is not such a big loss, so much as it is rather annoying sitting in front of a watched kettle. I think I meant to say a watched pot. In the long scheme of things, we have many new channels of information, networks of collaboration, and most importantly, new means of making exchanges on many levels, all moving as fast forward at the full throttle of human ingenuity and machine capacity. DeFi is the portal exit I am speaking of, and it goes beyond enigmatic currencies. Why, just the other week I'd mentioned the rise of something called student coin, or STC, and after pitching the idea using my Psionics to my personal world circuit machine, this organization brought in $10 million in a rather short stretch of time, and imagination, but it was with imagination guided by rigorous disciplined practice, which has made, for example, these currencies and the crow soar high like a mad raven, and student coin draw millions of dollars into its platform. And by the way, that student coin exchange will open in the Q3, possibly June, I imagine. More to the point, we live not only in a world where crypto crow flies, but also in parallel to new advances in technology, such as Project Odin for a more powerfully distributed internet, and Neuralink is underway, which has the projected potential of improving life by reducing pains and addictions in the body, and possibly a whole lot more that I can imagine. I know I could certainly do a lot more with it with imagination alone. The significance for us, we who are magicians, renowned, is that yellow magic, you can get that book of mine on Kindle, bit.ly/Thomas P. Walton, and Psionics and prayer board operations are seeing a fruitful development of new horizons across the planet. We don't need to spend a dime. Well, at least we don't have to spend millions or billions of dollars to move things around on this planet, and we can push entire organizations to make breakthroughs a reality in a rather short period of time. With the power of the 3 instruments of magic from the Vrilock Practical Guides Trio Collector's Edition, we can expand awareness, communicate with higher level minds in the cosmos, manifest miracles, and lastly, we can push magic to near real-time results with the wondrous wheel instrument and the training within these 3 magic books every magician needs. With the new operator's manual for the prayer board, students of the psychometric infusion methodology can work miracles, spiritual wellness, adjurations, and atmokinetic weather control without having to buy every document in my club library. Nearly everything one needs is in the new operator's manual with your prayer board combo. Now, Psionic Necromancer is the one paperback which goes well beyond the ordinary Necronomicon and delves into machine divination and employment of the disembodied personalities of scientific geniuses, occult masters, and patriotic champions from Earth's history. When facing the various changes in the world, we can select which changes we like or which changes we don't like so much, and splice the results both forward and backward from Monday to Sunday in the past, present, and future with my book Psionic Splicing, including a full section on my secret of psionic tethering of radionic instruments across multiple operators. That's right, multiple operators. Whereas in the past, this was something shunned because psionics works better on the individual level, an individual working psionics solo. But with tethering, this changes things. The key secret of the Psionic Brotherhood, yes, tethering. It is what makes our global project so great. Now, getting back to the story here, these platforms like Student Coin are constantly under attack by misinformation and often fall short of making the ultimate breakthrough in an alternative means of paying back student loans to universities, in this case. But with psionics, we are able to keep their backs in a ruthless battle for the overall exchanges on this planet. Because let us face things as they are. We all want to have some money in our pockets, and waiting out this quarantine era has been a rather nasty backlash on our economy. Little more than a sinking ship. Oh, and speaking of sinking ships, if you're interested in my secret for how to turn derelicts, that secret method is included in its own section of my book, Psionic Robot, an Artificer's Guide to Anthropomorphic Constructs. I've tested the method on boats around Italy, and the power is now yours. All secrets revealed. So moving onward now, we have this little thing called a defixio. Rock the Katadesmos, which was a means of cursing in ancient Greece. And no, I don't mean to conjure up images of nude people on the beaches of Hydra and Athens yelling obscenities at the gods. No, I refer to the ancient stone tablets that the ancient Greeks used to sabotage their opponents in sports events and athletic competitions and so on. Well, we can do much of the same thing with psionics here. As I've said, psionic splicing gives a magician and psionicist everything he or she needs to set up a win-win situation, or even thwart the plans of the multitude for a winner-takes-all payout. That kind of sorcery can also be put to work in digital assets, such as crypto coins, and even right down to individual tokens tied to any one of the big systems for digital assets. We convey influence digital currency movements by crafting a virtual, that means a non-existing coins. There's a difference, digital and virtual, or a token, a power glyph, if you will, and beaming this into the markets via magical force and the mental will, which is psionics. Of course, we are working with the metaphysical aspect of coincidence here, and not actually practicing psychokinesis, though. With a good selected target, the latter is possible, particularly with the well-practiced development of micro-PK remote influence. So the means to an end might be many, and the tools are, of course, at vrilock.com/shop and vrilock.club. Onward, then. The means to an end, yes? Well, those means are in my book, Psionic Splicing. What you have to do is simply find a coin that you like and splice it to another that you own, or whatever the case may be. So perhaps you want to take some of Ethereum's or Bitcoin's energy signature via magical means and splice that into a pattern of sorts for your own benefit. Well, you'll need some kind of an anchor, an output, or a power glyph to morph the magical formula thus into, unless, as a matter of course, you have, for example, your very own personal token, and I've spoken about this in previous podcasts before. If you have your own personal token and you'd like to clone some properties from another crypto, and dump this potential into your own. After all, you're working psionics for your benefit. By the same token, no pun intended, you may, if you see it fit to do so, dump a bunch of no good misfortune onto a digital asset as well. We will combine simple transference but with psionic splicing, and if you really want to do a killer project, I suggest delving into that section in my book on psionic tethering, psionic splicing for $29.99. Own the book, paperback, beautifully illustrated, wonderful introduction. Might as well have yourself some fun while you're waiting for your long-term investments to pay off. Alrighty then. So, you realize now that the woman on your left and the man on your right are a couple of stooges pinned to the top of all things mainstream info outlets. And no matter what they say, or seem to be doing, or rather not doing, that the world is going to move one direction forward. Well, in our case, for psionicists, the world is moving in one direction, but on two separate streams, or parallel worlds. And the outcome must be as we want it to be. This is your mission, to make that outcome bend to your favor. You accomplish this by disregarding the sensational, the dramatic, and eventful activities of the muggles ruining the planet, and instead you focus your attention on things that you can actually work with. That isn't to say that you don't care, but your action must be kept in check. That's what I always tell people. No, don't give me an opinion. Just give the facts, ma'am. And by the way, is that something that I can work with, actually? Things you can work with include MAGICK, Psionics, and technology, cryptocurrency, silver coins, solar charger kits, preserved batteries, stored seeds for growing your crops, buying land, reserving water, and securing the abode to your lair is, or at least it should be, your primary concern. Remember this, and remember this well, so don't have to say it twice. I've told you not a dozen times, but perhaps once or twice, which should have been sufficient. Your government has failed you. Period. So, why would you trust them ever again? I don't, and neither should you. That's why we have dowsing. By the way, I have a multimedia package that you may download instantly and learn how to dowse and build your own pendulum with charts, documents, audio lecture, and a how-to video. It's called Dynamic Dowsing Disclosure. I recommend that you download it because everything psychotronics, radionics, psionics, machine magic is based on the principles of dowsing. Douse better and your machine magic will be superior. As I often remind my students, not to be anyone's trendy fan, that your best bet is to simply trust the magic. Trust your magic. Thank you for joining me on Planet Vrilock Psionics podcast tonight. And until next time, as always, keep the magic high. This is Herr Doktor von Vrilock, signing out.